My dad haunted me after he died, but in the best possible way. These are Confessions of a Hypnotist. I'm Dan Candell. I am a hypnotist, known worldwide as the anxiety relief guy, and I'm also a hypnosis trainer where I train people how to be hypnotists and how to start and grow their hypnosis practice. So let's dive in. This was something that has been coming up a lot recently because I've been working with a lot of caregivers and I've been working with a lot of people through grief and loss and mourning. And the reason why a lot of people seek me out is because they know the story of what happened with me and my dad. And if you don't know the story, I'll give you the abridged version. My dad was my biggest fan, he was my biggest supporter, and he and I were best friends. And around 2021, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So I changed my entire business, hypnosis business, around so that I could be his caregiver and take care of him and be with him. And I was there up until his very last moments, where the last words he said to me was, "I love you too." And I got to spend those times with my dad, and I will always remember that. And I know a lot of people don't get that kind of closure where the last words their parents say is where they say a goodbye and "I love you too." And it's not usual that people get that kind of closure. However, I knew that wouldn't be the last time I heard from my dad. Um, Several things happened after he passed away that indicated he's still here. He didn't go anywhere. And what I don't want comments saying that didn't happen, that's impossible. Listen, that's totally fine if you don't understand this, or if you don't think this is possible, or if you think I'm making all this up, that's totally fine. Or even if you think I had like a psychotic episode and I just hallucinated all that stuff, I don't care. I don't want those kind of comments. so, um, and this, by the way, these are not my first experiences with the beyond, the paranormal. Um, I'm very intuitive when it comes to the work that I do with my clients. But here's what happened. So I'm going to do my very best to go in chronological order here. Um, because there are like four different things that happened over the course of about like 2 months or so that are just like fun and funny stories. And I tell these also to my grief clients, and I tell these to my clients who not have just lost someone, but they're also caregivers and they're about to lose someone. So here we go. Buckle up, Buttercup. Okay. So August 1st, 2022, my dad passed away. And it was like a whirlwind. That the day he passed away, um, I went to the funeral home because my dad, he and I planned his services together. We went to the funeral home together. We planned his services, so we knew exactly what he wanted, what was going to happen, what we were going to do. But I still had to go to the funeral home and just finalize a couple of details. My dad passed away at 5:45 a.m. Um, I went to say my goodbyes to him. He was in a hospice facility for the last 4 days of his life. Um, then I went back home with my husband to just get myself kind of collected, and my husband and I went to the funeral home just to finalize the details. Then later that day, I felt like it was the right thing to do to build a fire pit in my backyard. So I went and I got all the bricks that I needed to build this fire pit. And I'm sorry, this was the next day after my dad passed away. I went to go get the bricks for all to build this fire pit. My husband comes home and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm building a fire pit." He's like, "But your dad just died." I'm like, "I know, this just feels right. It feels like the right thing to do." And my dad and I, we loved camping, we loved fire pits, we loved campfires. We would always have campfires and stuff like that when I was younger, and even throughout adulthood. I'd go over there and he'd be sitting by the fire outside. So I felt like it's just the right thing to make a fire pit. So I built this fire pit. Took me a few hours to do. And I said to my husband, I said, "Okay, let's go get some firewood. Let's go to the hardware store and get some firewood." So we're driving to the hardware store, and then I heard this voice clear as day, my dad's voice. And this voice said to me, Danny. So my dad called me Danny. He said, Danny, I put some firewood by the fence for you. There's some firewood outside by the fence. And I'm like, what? And I said to my husband, I said, did you hear that? And he's like, hear what? And he looked at me like I had 18 heads. I said, I just heard my dad. He told me to go to his house, that there's firewood by the fence. And then I remembered that's where my dad would stack his firewood for the campfires he would have. So I'm like, okay, makes sense. It's probably just hallucinating that. So we go to my dad's house, and sure as shit, there is a stockpile of firewood next to the fence. Um, my husband was like, hey, I got to pee really quick. Can I have the keys to go in his house so that way I can go to the bathroom? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm stacking the firewood into my car. I hand my husband the keys. As he is unlocking the door to my dad's house, I hear the voice again. And it said, hey, Danny, I put some firewood in the basement in front of the workbench. And I'm like, what in the actual hell is going on right now? I heard it clear as day, like he was talking to me. Now, here's the thing. I had been down in the basement by the workbench at my dad's house multiple times before that day because I was cleaning out my dad's house because we knew he was going to pass away. So I was cleaning out my dad's house. The day before, I was just in the basement. I was in front of the workbench. There was no firewood there. So I look at my husband again. He was walking to the house, and I go up. I goes, Did you hear that?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I keep hearing my dad's voice." And he's like, "Dan, I have no idea what you're talking about." He's like, I don't hear it." So my husband goes in, uses the bathroom. I go downstairs in the basement, and sure enough, in front of the workbench, which I had just been there the day before, in front of the workbench, there was a pile of wood. And I'm like, this was not here before. This 100% was not here before. So my husband comes down the stairs. He's like, well, it looks like we got our firewood. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my dad did this for me. And my husband looked at me and he was like, okay. And we grabbed the firewood. We put it in the car. We got home. We had a really nice fire in the fire pit that I just built. Um, a couple of days after that, we went to a couple days after that, we had my dad's services. And the way we set it up, we were having a viewing, a wake, and the services in his church. And then he was going to get cremated. And then later on, we were going to bury his ashes with his parents, with my grandparents at the grave site. So, um, so we had his services. That whole entire day was like a blur. It was both like in slow motion and in fast forward at the same time. And as much as it seems like yesterday, it also seems like it was a year ago, 10 years ago, and also tomorrow, all at the same time. It was this weird mixture of emotions. Um, but the day after his services, and the day after his funeral, it was on a Thursday. My husband had said to me, "Hey Dan, you know what? Let's go to the beach this weekend." He said, "You've been through a lot. I know your dad loved the beach. Let's just go to the beach for the weekend." So I'm like, "Okay, all right, we'll go to the beach." Now here's the thing you got to know. My dad, he when he was still alive, he said to me one time, he said, "Danny, you've been working way too hard. You've been helping me. You've been helping me." He's like, I'm so thankful for this." He's like, "But you need a day off." He's like, "I'm gonna call one of my friends to come take care of me. I'll call one of the hospice nurses. He said, I'll call one of my sisters to stay with me. Go to the beach." He goes, "Just go to the fucking beach." And I'm like, "Okay, Dad." Now, my dad, though, he was a very um, abrupt, very he people would describe him like a cactus, like he was prickly on the outside and soft and fluffy on the inside. So, um, my dad, though, he was also a nag. And my dad and I would get into these spirited debates about literally Nothing. He would start talking about a lawnmower that he picked up out of the trash one day and rebuilt this lawnmower. And Danny, I got it for you, but you already had a lawnmower and you could have used that one, even though the one you had was brand new. And then we would get into another debate about spark plugs. And so one day before my dad passed away, this debate was about beach towels. So the day my dad said, Danny, take the day off, go to the beach, he said, but take my beach towels. I said, Dad, I just bought some beach towels and they were like $5 or $10 and I have a bunch of beach towels in my car. And my dad was like, no, Danny, take the beach towels. I had them since I was a kid. They're really, really good. They're these big, thick ones. They're really big. They don't make them like that anymore. Take those beach towels. And I said, Dad, I already have beached, and even though we were best friends, like we would butt heads sometimes, and I'm like, Dad, listen, even though I'm like, I have beach towels, I'm not going to take those because then I have to go upstairs into your bedroom, searching through the closet, find the beach towels. I said, you told me to go to the beach. I'm just going to go to the beach. So it's like, Danny, take the damn beach towels. I said, you know what, Dad? I said, how about this? After you die, you can come back, haunt my ass, and remind me to take the damn beach towels. And my dad laughed and he said, I will. And I'm like, oh boy. And then I walked out of the house. We both laughed. I walked out of the house, went to the beach with my beach towels. Okay. Now, it is now the Friday after his funeral. I'm cleaning out his house and I'm also preparing to go to the beach the next day on that Saturday. My aunt was also in the house. We were on the main level of the house. So she said, Danny, why don't you go upstairs in your dad's bedroom and just see if there's anything up there you want or need. I said, okay. So I go up in his bedroom. I'm going through his closets. And sure enough, in the closet, I found this igloo cooler that he tried to give me as well. And I also found the beach towels in this black trash bag. So I pull out the cooler. I set the black trash bag with the beach towels on top of the cooler. I put them in the middle of his bedroom and I walk back downstairs with my aunt. My aunt and I are talking, and all of a sudden we hear a big boom, ba doom, boom, boom crash upstairs. I looked at her and she looks at me. She goes, is somebody else up there? I goes, no, it was just me. We both ran up there. The cooler was dumped over and the trash bag was broken open and these towels were thrown over the room. They were just thrown around the room. So I looked at the towels, I look at the cooler, I look at the trash bag, I look at my aunt, I look up and go, fine, Dad, I'll take the damn towels. And my aunt looks at me, she goes, I remember your dad nagging you about those damn towels. She said, you know what? He came back to remind you to take the towels. I said, I know, because I'm going to the beach tomorrow. And she goes, Danny, only your dad. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I took the beach towels, I took the cooler, I threw them in my car, and I still have those beach towels in my garage, by the way. So we go to the beach. It's a beautiful day. We have a beautiful time. We come back from the beach, and I had picked out a puppy a couple of weeks before my dad died. I had picked out this beautiful golden retriever puppy, and my husband and we really wanted a golden retriever. So we picked up the golden retriever. We bring the golden retriever to my dad's house because we still had a bunch of stuff to clean out. The room that my dad stayed in before he died, this puppy, about 10 weeks old, sat in front of that bedroom and just cried and whimpered in the corner. And then at the doorway of the room. Then he walks into the corner of the room and he looks up and just starts barking. And he's jumping up on the corner to try and and nothing's there. Nothing's there. Nothing. So again, my aunt was with me and she's like, that's your dad. I'm like, yeah, I know. So the final thing, several more things like this happen. Let me know if you want me to go into like more stuff that happened. But I'm going to tell you about the final thing that happened within this time frame. So oh, this is so weird. My dad, as I said earlier in the video, he was getting cremated. And they told me it would probably be about a week. And then after he was cremated, we would get his ashes back and I could schedule the burial of his ashes. So It's like a long time now. It's like 2 or 3 weeks, and I still didn't hear from the funeral home or the crematory, and I said to my husband, like, "This is really weird." So, we went to bed on a Saturday. Sunday morning, early in the morning, must've been like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I was burning hot. And I threw off the covers. I'm burning hot. I'm bawling my eyes out. And my husband looks at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I think my dad was just cremated." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Bro, I yeah, I call my husband bro sometimes. It's weird, but don't worry about it." He's not really my anyway. So I looked at him and I go, "Bro, I just had the most effed up dream." And he's like, "What happened?" I said, "I think my dad was just cremated." I said, "In this dream, it was like so vivid. I saw an outline of my dad and he was like coals. It was like he was like hot burning embers. And he had like an outline of like flames, which is really creepy when you think about it. It's like satanic, but it wasn't. There was something peaceful about it. And he said these specific words: "Danny, it's done. You can get things ready now." That's what he said. And I said that to my husband. He goes, "Wow, that's really weird." I called my best friend. I'm telling her about the dream, and as soon as I said to her, and he said to me, "Danny, it's done. You can get things ready now." I got another call, and I said to my friend, "I'm sorry, I got to answer this." I called. It's the funeral home. The funeral home said, "Hey, Danny, this is so and so from such and such funeral home. I just wanted to let you know your dad was just cremated earlier today or last night, whatever. We have his ashes. It's done, so you can get things ready now." My jaw was on the floor. I had them on speakerphone. My husband heard this too. His jaw was on the floor. And then I'm like, thanks. And I said, I know he's cremated. And the funeral director said, "How do you know?" I said, he told me in a dream this morning." And she laughed because she knew my dad. She goes, "Of course he did." She said, "If anybody would, it would be him." So for a good solid, like, 3 or 4 weeks after, my dad passed, he was still there reminding me, nagging me about the same damn things that he would be as if he was still alive. I'm like, "Dad, you're making it really hard for me to miss you right now." So, the cool thing is that my dad did, and this is where we get into a little bit about grief and planning and loss. My dad and I, we were planning for his death for a couple of years because we knew he was sick. We were planning for his death. My dad meticulously wrote down everything to do from the moment he took his last breath up until about 6 months after he passed away, with insurances, with who to call, with what to do, with who to email, with what to say, with where to go, with what papers to provide. Every step of the way, very meticulously, gave me this binder to go through when he passed away. And that was so, as his son, that was so helpful and so beneficial. And here's the thing, my dad was very meticulous about a lot of things. Like, he decided, when he was at the very end of his life, he decided that he was going to go to a hospice facility, and he was going to get the appropriate dose of morphine. And because we weren't administering the morphine like we were supposed to, because he didn't want that. Because if he did, he would have died a lot sooner, and he would have lost all of his faculties. And he didn't want me taking care of changing him and stuff like that. He just didn't want that. So he decided to go to a hospice facility and to do end of life there. And it was a beautiful facility. And but as it was just so surreal, like they came and did a checkup for him, to make sure he could go. And uh, the woman who did the checkup, she said, Thank you. His name was Donald, but everyone called him Butchie. She said, "Thank you so much, Butch. It was a great pleasure working with you." She said, "I will not see you again, but enjoy the remainder of the journey that you have here." And then she just up and left. And my dad was like, "Oh my God." He's like, "That was odd." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "Well, this is what they do." Um, but when on his last day, which again, I can't even fathom knowing that you are going someplace to die. My mind can't even comprehend that. Um, he left the house. We had transport for him. They had the social worker, the therapist with us. It was very well done. And then they had an ambulance transport him. As my dad was getting transported to the hospice facility, he's on the phone with the cable company and he's going, "Cancel the cable. I'm about to die and I don't want my son to deal with this." Clunk. I'm like, "Dad, give me the phone." But but that was him. He was grasping onto what last bit of control and purpose he could so that he could just feel that sense of control, purpose, helpful. And several times I thanked my dad. Um, as he really started to progress over those 4 days and transition, um, I played his favorite songs that we would listen to. I held his hand. We had friends and family come and say their final goodbyes. The whole thing was beautiful and unnerving all at the same time. The reason why I share this is to give you another glimpse, another side into what helps me help other people. Because since that happened, I have helped dozens and dozens of other people who have become my clients through grief support, through loss, through being a caregiver. And it's weird because people don't necessarily come to me specifically for that. They come to me usually for like anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. And then we uncover that's also going on in their life or that went on in their life. Um, but the things that I went through with my dad helped me help other people. And the work that I would say this, the parenting and the support that my dad gave to me lives on in the work that I do with other people with my clients. I still miss my dad. It's been 2002, so it's been almost 4 years. He still to this day doesn't really let me miss him because I feel and sense his presence all the time. Even sometimes where I don't want to sense or feel his presence. He's like always there. Um, so I also went to a medium. I spoke to him through the medium. I've had a bunch of other experiences. Let me know in the comments if you want me to share some more of my dad's stories about him passing and crossing over and everything like that. Let me know. If you would like my help or support with something, I'm dropping a link in the description to this video that can guide you to a few places and resources. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.